Have you ever visited an abandoned theme park? Not in photos, not in videos. Actually walked inside one, where the rides are still there. The slides are still there. But everything that made it a place for children is gone. Now imagine you're standing inside Malaysia's most famous one, 6:42 p.m., still light. And something in the lagoon in front of you is laughing, an eerie sound that raises questions about what could be causing it. What do? Because people have stood exactly where you are standing. Different years, different visits. They don't know each other. They all come back with the same detail. Children, the water, nothing in it. The security guards who work this site at night know which parts they patrol. The lagoon is not one of them. Its secrets remain hidden, inviting your curiosity. And here is the part that should stop you. These accounts did not start when the park closed. They started while the gates were open. At the same time, the tickets were being sold. While real children, thousands of them, were swimming in that water every weekend. This was not just about an abandoned place acting like an abandoned place. Whatever is in that lagoon was there before the park closed, before the accidents, before the closure. It was there on opening day. In 1975, Mimaland was the most exciting place in Malaysia. Not one of the most exciting, the most exciting, because there was nothing else like it. Malaysia's first theme park, before Genting had an outdoor park, before any of it. 300 acres of Selangor jungle transformed into something that felt, to the families who came on weekends, like Malaysia had finally built something for itself. The swimming pool was promoted as the largest in Southeast Asia. The park featured motel units, chalets, a boating lake, and a giant maze. At the entrance stood enormous fiberglass dinosaurs, giving the impression that the park was its own kind of Jurassic frontier. The name said everything about what it was trying to be. Malaysia, in miniature land, Mimaland, the whole country, folded into one place, built for its own people. On weekends, thousands came. Families from KL, families from Selangor. The super splash water slides were the centerpiece, concrete, steep, built into the hillside. The kind of ride that made children scream and come back and queue again. For nearly 20 years, this is what Mimaland was. Loud, full, alive. But even then, even in the years when the gates were open and the tickets were selling, some things didn't make it into the brochures. In 1977, someone drowned in the pool. The park stayed open. There was no coroner's inquest that led to changes in structure. There was no safety review required. Nothing changed at all. The weekend crowds continued to arrive. The children kept swimming. The lagoon kept its secret. By the early 1990s, the park felt different to regular visitors. It was quieter than before, with less careful maintenance. The edges of things were beginning to show their age, but there was no official announcement about any changes. And then came 1993. A technician working on one of the park's mechanical rides. Something went wrong with the ride while he was on it. What happened to him after that depends on which record you read. Singaporean media reported that he died from his injuries. Malaysian sources reported that he survived, but was left paralyzed. The coroner's inquest findings were never made public. The official record shows that the technician was injured at Mimaland in 1993. It does not show what happened to him after. That gap between the injury and the outcome has never been officially closed. The court acted. It barred the park from operating. The specific offenses, the reasons, the findings, the legal basis for the closure were never stated in the public record. The park was closed. The reasons were not. And then came May 1994. It didn't happen the way disasters usually happen in stories. There was no explosion, no sudden collapse, no single moment you could point to and say, "There, that was it." It was slower than that, and worse. 200 people were in the super splash pool when the hill moved. Not a crash, not a wall of water, just a slow, thick wave of brown sediment moving into the blue. The color of the pool changes from the edges inward. The people are still in it, as it has changed. 30 years of rot, finally breaking through the surface. The gates closed after that, for good this time. The dinosaurs stayed where they were. The slides stayed where they were. The lagoon stayed where it was, filling slowly with silt, with the years, with whatever it had always been holding. And the question that nobody asked, not at the inquest, not in the court proceedings, not in any public record, was why the hill had been moving at all. That question has an answer, but it took 30 years for anyone to go looking for it. Before we talk about what Mimaland is now, there is something that happened in 1977 that the official history of the park moves past very quickly. He was 24 years old, a businessman. He came to Mimaland on a weekend, the way thousands of people did every weekend, and he went swimming in the pool that had been marketed as the largest in Southeast Asia. He did not come back out. A man drowned in the Mimaland pool in 1977. The park's official history moves past this quickly. The park stayed open. There was no coroner's inquest that forced structural changes, no public review, no closure, not even temporary. The following weekend, the gates opened again. The pool opened again. The families came back. In the community around Batu 12, Gombak, the people who lived near the park, who watched it operate for nearly 2 decades, consider the drowning of a businessman as not an accident. It is remembered as the first sign, the moment the land showed what it thought of what had been built on it. The official record called it a drowning. The community called it something else. The people of Ulu Gombak have a word for land like this: karas. It does not translate cleanly into English. Hard is the closest. But karas does not mean physically hard. It means resistant, unwilling. Land that pushes back against what is placed on it. The Ulu Gombak Hills, the Titi Wangsa Range, the ridges above Batu 12 are considered karas by the communities that have lived alongside them for generations, not because of the landslides, not because of the accidents, because of what was already there before the first bulldozer arrived in 1969. The Orang Bunian, hidden beings, not ghosts, something older than that, beings who occupy the same landscape as the living, but in a dimension just beside it. The Ulu Gombak area is considered one of their strongholds, has been long before Mimaland existed. When the park was built, when 300 acres of primary jungle were cleared and replaced with concrete slides, and fiberglass dinosaurs and a pool marketed as the largest in Southeast Asia, the community around Batu 12 did not celebrate. They watched and they waited. A woman who visited the ruins in 2019 described her afternoon there as completely unremarkable. She had come with 2 friends. Daylight, they photographed the dinosaurs, walked the old motel block, and checked the slides. Nothing unusual. The kind of urban exploration that hundreds of people have done in Mimaland, going in, coming out, posting the photos. She was walking past the 3rd motel unit when she smelled it. Jasmine, bunga melur, clean and sweet, and completely out of place in a ruin that smelled of damp concrete and rotting wood. She stopped. Her friends were ahead of her. She called out to them, "Did you smell it?" They said no. She turned toward the motel doorway from which the smell was coming. A woman was standing in it. White, still, not looking at her, looking past her, the way you look at something behind a person rather than at the person themselves. She did not scream. She said later that she couldn't, that her throat closed. She took 1 step back, then another. Then she turned and walked, did not run, walked to where her friends were standing. When they turned to look, the doorway was empty. In Malay folk tradition, the smell of jasmine in a place where no jasmine grows is not a comfort. It is an announcement. The Pontianak, the spirit of a woman who died in grief or violence, is said to announce herself this way: the sweetness before the sighting, the smell before the face. In the community around Batu 12, stories like this are common. They confirm what the Temuan people, the Orang Asli, who originally owned this land before Mimaland, have always said. The Temuan know the quartz ridges of Bukit Tabur, the ridge directly above the Mimaland site, as the spine of the dragon, a living geological formation, not a metaphor, not folklore, a description of what the land actually is, something with its own force, its own resistance, its own response to what is placed upon it. The land made its message clear in 1977, again in 1993, and in May 1994 when the hill collapsed. The brown water flowed through the wall, and the families in the pool felt it, like you feel something in your body before you fully understand it, that something had always been resisting. The spirits said no. The land said no. But here is what nobody asked, what no inquest, no council report, no court proceeding ever put into the official record. Did the state say yes? In 1969, the Magnum Group of companies identified 300-acre tract of primary rainforest in Ulu Gombak for a landmark project. The land sat at Batu 12 on the old Gombak-Bentong Road on the slopes of the Titi Wangsa Range. It was hilly, steep in places, granitic soil, the kind that erodes quickly when the vegetation holding it in place is removed, the kind of terrain that engineers now describe as requiring careful environmental assessment before any development begins. The environmental impact assessment was never conducted. The land was zoned agricultural and forestry. To build a permanent theme park on it required formal conversion, an application to the State Planning Department, a review, and an approval. That conversion was never obtained. The National Archives of Malaysia holds documents from 1971, 4 years before the park opened its gates, that record something the brochures never mentioned. Even at that stage, before the first paying visitor had walked through, the developer had already failed to comply with Malaysia's theme park's guidelines on security and structural care. The park was non-compliant before it opened. The permanent concrete structures, the slides, the pool walls, the motel blocks were built and operated under what is known as a temporary occupation license. It sounds administrative. It was not administrative. A temporary occupation license bypasses the permanent safety audit requirements under the Town and Country Planning Act 1976. It allows structures to exist, to be used, to be opened to the public without the engineering certifications that permanent structures require. The slides that thousands of children rode every weekend, the pool walls held back the water, the motel units that guests slept in, built on steep, granitic, erosion-prone terrain, operating under a temporary license, never permanently certified. For 19 years, the District Council was responsible for conducting annual safety audits of the concrete water slides at Mimaland. In 19 years of operation, from 1975 to 1994, the number of audits conducted was 0. Not reduced, not infrequent, 0. The State Planning Department knew the land had not been formally converted. The District Council knew the structures had not been permanently certified. The developer knew the environmental impact assessment had never been done. Mimaland opened and stayed open for 19 years. In December 1993, months after a technician was carried off the giant slide on a stretcher, and months before the wall gave way and the mud entered the pool, a condominium block in Ampang collapsed. Highland towers, the same geological zone, the same Titi Wangsa range, the same granitic soil, the same failure mode, a retaining wall, inadequate drainage, and a hillside absorbing development pressure until it could not absorb anymore. 48 people died. The Ulu Klang Hill did not fail once. It failed in sequence. And the question of Who approved construction on both sites? Who looked at the gradient, the soil type, the drainage, and said, yes, build here, is a question both official records leave largely unanswered. There's one more detail that isn't confirmed. No official agency has identified it. However, it appears often in engineering reports and community discussions, so it can't be ignored. In the months leading up to the May 1994 landslide, there were reports of unauthorized land clearing on the ridge above the Mimaland site. This kind of clearing can direct rainwater into drainage systems that were not built to handle it. The municipal council has since confirmed that illegal land clearing in the Bukit Tabor area is a chronic and documented problem. Whether clearing on the ridge above Mimaland contributed to the collapse of the 1.5-meter wall in May 1994 has never been officially investigated. The official record calls what happened in May 1994 a minor landslide. 200 people were in the water when it happened. The court record shows who was hurt. It does not show which official approved the building of a concrete slide on a moving hill. The Titiwangsa Range was officially recognized as an environmentally sensitive area after incidents like Mimaland and the Highland Towers tragedy. This recognition came after the area showed the dangers of development that ignored its natural characteristics. Now you know what was built on land that was tough and rugged before any construction began. It's on a hill that the Temuan people have called the spine of the dragon for generations. Development happened under temporary permits, with no one checking the process, and it was approved by a system that turned a blind eye for 19 years. And now you know why the accounts from the Lagoon always sound the same. In late 1994, a Malaysian court issued a permanent prohibitory injunction against Mimaland. The park was barred from reopening to the public. The specific offenses, the planning violations, the safety failures, the precise legal basis for the closure were never fully published in the public record. The court barred the park. It did not order the structures demolished. That is where the standoff begins, and where it remains today. The land is private. The structures are dangerous. The state has the authority to act on safety grounds. The owners have the legal right to contest. And in 30 years, not one structure has come down. The slides operated for 19 years without a safety audit and have been empty for 30 years. The dinosaur heads that welcomed families at the entrance are still above the treetops. The motel block doors are still open, and the lagoon is still there. There have been attempts to move forward. In 2011, MPHB Capital, the corporate entity that holds the site, announced plans for a high-end eco-resort. A joint venture was formed with Bandar Raya Developments. By 2015, it was terminated. The project was scrapped. A golf course was proposed. Rejected. Condominiums were proposed. Rejected. Every proposal that has reached the planning stage has failed because the site now sits within a zone classified as environmentally sensitive. And every engineering assessment applied to the hillside since 1994 has reached the same conclusion. The ground that was never suitable for what was built on it is still not suitable 30 years later. Nothing has changed about the hill. In October 2022, the planning permissions for the site expired because the corporate owners did not start any development work. The municipal council confirmed this publicly, stating that the developer had held the permissions for years but had done nothing with them. On the 16th of March 2022, the site was raised in the State Assembly, the parliamentary proceedings. The land dispute, the stalled demolition, the question of who pays for the soil stabilization required before anything can be safely built or safely removed, all of it entered the official record. None of it was resolved. The security guards who worked the night shift at Mimaland described their hours as ordinary. They sit at the gate, they walk the perimeter, they log their rounds. Some of them described something else. A sound from inside the fence, from the part of the site where the old ride infrastructure still stands. Rhythmic, mechanical, the sound a roller coaster chain makes when it moves along its track, or the kind of carousel it makes when it turns. No power has run to that part of the site in 30 years. The guards who hear it do not go to investigate. They log their hours. They wait for morning. In 2020, the Malaysian federal census was conducted. The Department of Statistics Malaysia catalogued every administrative area in the country, every named place, every postcode. At coordinates 3.284 degrees north in Gombak District, Selangor, the census records a location called Pekan Mimaland, Mimaland Town. A postcode, an official name, a recognized administrative area for a site that has been a restricted ruin for nearly 30 years. The park, the court said, could not operate. The park, the state said, could not be redeveloped. The park, no planning authority has been able to resolve in 3 decades. It is, on the official record of the Malaysian government, still a town. Pekan Mimaland. It has a postcode. It has coordinates. If you try to visit, you will find 300 acres of forbidden jungle, the moss-covered heads of prehistoric monsters, a lagoon filled with 30 years of silt, and a gate that is locked from the outside. The approval that built this place was never filed. The demolition that should have followed has never come. The questions the official record could not answer in 1977, in 1993, in 1994, they are still there, in the same place, waiting. The lagoon has been empty for 30 years. Not empty of water. The water is still there, dark, still, held in by the same embankment that held it when families spread out their picnic mats on its banks in 1978. Empty of what it was built to be, empty of the children who swam in it, empty of the weekends it was designed for. 30 years of silt have settled at the bottom, 30 years of leaf fall, of runoff from the hills above, of the slow accumulation of a place that has been left to return to itself. Whatever is down there now, whatever 30 years of darkness and stillness has produced, the official record has no category for it. The man who sat by this water at 6, the evening, who heard what he heard while it was still light, who left before dark because he did not want to know what came after the sound, he has not been back. He's not the only one who has made that choice. A 24-year-old businessman came here on a weekend in 1977. The park was 6 years old. The gates were open. The pool was full. He did not come back out of the water. The park remained open. This story starts not with a landslide, the closure, or the court order that didn't specify any issues. It doesn't begin with a census entry that still shows a postcode for a ruin. It begins with a man who came to swim on a weekend and never returned, and with a gate that opened the following Monday as if nothing had happened beneath it. The approval that built this place was never filed. The demolition has never come. The offences the court found were never published. The outcome of the technician injury was never officially confirmed. The questions have been in the same place since 1977. Since the first time, the land said no, and the gate opened again anyway. At 3.284 degrees north, in Gombak District, Selangor, there is a place called Mimaland Town. It has a postcode. It has a name on a government map. It has a lagoon that has been full of silt for 30 years and empty of children for just as long. And if you stand at the edge of that water in the evening, while it is still light, while the birds are still calling, while everything around you feels completely ordinary, you might just hear the laughing.